Blessed love, brothers and sisters. Welcome to the Gillie Revolutionary TV channel, where we bring you truth, knowledge, and spiritual awakening for the upliftment of the African nation world. Today we bring you Rastafari Promise Key Seminary session number 5, a divine reasoning on the liberation of the African mind. Babylon has long sought to chain us in mental slavery, but Jah has given us the key to break free. Through the teachings of the Most High and the wisdom of our ancestors, we will explore how to unshackle our consciousness, reclaim our identity, and step bold into our destiny. Stay with us as we delve into the power of knowledge, self-determination, and the spiritual fire of Rastafari. The revolution is now, and it begins in the mind.
Greetings, brethren and sisters. Welcome to another long overdue episode of Gillie Revolutionary Television Channel. And this is also a long overdue presentation of the Rastafari Promise Key Seminary. And I think we're up to now session number 5. I use the term long overdue based upon the fact that it is several weeks now since session number 5 was completed, and I believe I did one intermediary programs dealing with my visit to Maroon Town since I did session number 4. And just a basic, if you know that I was very busy. I was traveling all over Kingston trying to find to rent an office space. The cost of office space throughout Kingston, especially in the central business district, is astronomical. There is nothing you can rent within the central business district of Kingston under 150,000 Jamaican dollars per month. And that is basically saying 1,000 US per month. So I'm still trying. I've came across few office spaces that I may be able to share, not exclusively an office space of my own, but to share with others and to share the rent where we can basically cover the $150,000 Jamaican dollars per month. I have one brethren who is presently trying to open a document processing office, and I can be able to rent a space and share a space with him, along with another brethren who is basically into advertisement. So that's what basically it is. Very busy doing things, doing further work upon my corporation, Forged by Time Limited. I'm all over the place. I have my hands in everything. I'm doing a million things. So just all the cake slice right now. I just have to keep moving. Now the last time session we did, and like you know, in all the session we start with a chant from the Tabernacle of the Covenant of Rastafari, manifested in the light. And the last chant we did in the opening of session number 4, it was a chant to the mind in entering upon its blackness and coming out of it. The beautiful hidden land of the world of the mind, the power and forces of the triunite mind. Now when we talk about the blackness of the mind, we are speaking so literally and figuratively. Literally, even though there are electric circuits that's constantly being ignited in the brain, in a general sense, you are basically speaking about the blackness of a mind in terms of how we should think, how we should act, how we should perceive, and the blackness of a mind in terms of the womb that encases the brain. So a chant to the mind in entering upon its blackness and coming out of it. So remember I said in all of the earlier sessions, we kind of give a definition of what the Promise Key Seminary mean when we speak of chants. And when we speak of chant, we're not chanting to anything outside of ourselves. Everything that is on the outside of ourselves is a component of the within. So basically we are chanting to ourselves. And what do we mean by we are chanting ourselves? And why do we need or find it necessarily to chant to ourselves? You see, our body is constructed of chemicals. Chemicals, protein, nutrients, all these things, but still composition of different chemicals. And whenever the mind or the brain is able to get itself into a certain state, it triggers flows of certain chemicals, and it cuts back on the productions of certain chemicals. So when we want to get ourselves in a particular state of mind, we give a certain chant, because a certain chant like certain music. When you hear certain song, and you hear the vibration of the song and the words of the singer and all that, it engenders a certain feeling. Sometimes you feel the ear upon your skin actually lift up. Sometimes you feel yourself getting depends on the type of song we are listening to. It puts you into a certain mood. It puts you into a certain groove. It's the same thing with chant. You chant to change the body chemistry of your composition for any given moment. Just like when, for example, warriors are going into battle. They give a certain chant when warriors are being trained, going through training. They give a certain chant. This is what reconfigure and recomposition the mind into this required state. So when we give a chant, we're not giving a chant to anything that is external of creation. We are not giving a chant to anything that is external of our existence. We are not giving a chant that is external to our individual so-called being. We are giving a chant to self in order to engender a particular feeling. So the last chant we read, and I'm going to give the title of it again, a chant to the mind in entering upon its blackness and coming out of it. The beautiful inland of the world of the mind, the power of the triunity. You see, the mind itself encompasses the whole world, and some, because every world that ever existed, every world that shall exist in the future, every world that presently exists today comes out of a mind, comes out of the mind of a human being. Now, make we add certain clarity before we create unnecessary and unwanted confusion. When we speak of the world, a lot of time people get it confused with the earth, or people get it confused with the universe. These are different entities. When you speak of the earth, you're speaking of the dirt and maybe the trees, the physical composition of the earth itself. That's what the earth is. The world is a figment, is a creation out of the human being brain, meaning the world is a construction of the culture through which people express their liberty. That is what the world is. So when you read scripture, and you don't mean to go for the scripture argument, but for those who go for scripture, when you hear they say this world shall pass away and a new world shall come into being, it don't mean the earth will pass away. It does not mean that the universe will pass away. It simply means that the style of living, the culture, the type of government, the type of governance, the type of system, that world shall pass away, and a new system, a new way of governance, a new way of liberty, a new way of applying justice, a new way of applying equality, a new way of applying all the different aspects of society. That's what the new world is. That's what people mean by this world shall. It doesn't mean that the earth will pass away and the universe will pass away. Now, when you speak of the mind, all worlds that ever existed, all worlds that is in existence today, and all worlds that shall exist tomorrow comes out of the human creation, out of the mind. And you can never exhaust how human being may live. You may approve of some, or you may disapprove of some, but you cannot exhaust it. Right? And what we mean by world, so today, if you speak economically, one of the world that existed and kind of maybe predominate is capitalism. But you have different worlds at different times. You have communism, that's a different world. You have socialism, that's a different world. That's oligarchism, that's a different world. Fascism, that's a different world. Some of these worlds are small, some of these worlds are large, meaning that those concepts of liberty dominate people's life more than some. Some worlds are created out of religion. The world of Islam, when you see Islamic people in the Middle East rising up and say they are going against the West, they want to bring into existence a larger dissemination of the Islamic world, a world that created out of their own mental capacity. The Chinese is coming with the world of Confucius. India is trying to create and dominate the earth with their world of Hinduism, a world out of their own imagination. What is the world the Africans are struggling today to encast upon the face of this earth? The only world I see coming out of black people's mind today is the world of Rastafari now. Is the only clear and distinctive world where we see come out of black people cranium in this dispensation that we are trying to propagate and plaster it all over the earth and create a world of our own, a world coming out of our own figment of our own imagination, a world coming out of our own ideas and conceptions and philosophies. Yeah, that's where our world is. So the mind and the blackness of the mind is where all worlds exist. So we had read up to a certain point in this chant and we were not able to finish it because we had to go on to the syllabus reasoning upon the brain itself, even though the chant's dealing with the brain and the lessons dealing with the brain. So in order not to create a disjunction in the people's mind, I'm going to run through the part that was read in the last lesson and then I'm going to read through the entirety or a few pages because there are more than a few pages to go for this chant to finish. But just to create a continuity, I'm going to read the parts that were covered from the last lesson and then go into maybe one or two more paragraphs that was not dealt with in the last lesson, if that is prudent. Okay, a chant to the mind in entering upon its blackness and coming out of it. The beautiful hidden land of the world of the mind, the power of triunity. The supreme power of resurrection, I being of Rastafari, say it. Homage to thee, O strength and power of the land of the mind, wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. The personification of the one universal mind, the King of eternity, is with me. I am the righteous by the side of the divine thought. I have fought for thee. I am one of those righteous, those divine chiefs who prove the truth, speaking of the power of resurrection before his enemies on the day of weighing of words. I am thy kinsman, power of resurrection. I am one of those righteous who were the children of the feminine power of the source of life, who hack to pieces the enemies of the power of resurrection, and who bound in fetters the legions of enemies of Rastafari, the devil's conceptions of his behalf. I am thy kinsman, righteousness, truth, and justice, which directs the course of wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. I have fought on thy behalf. I have come to thee for thy name's sake. I am the personification of the mind, wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, who prove the truth of the words of the power of resurrection before his enemies on the day of the weighing of words in the great house of the Prince, Rastafari, who dwelleth in Mount Zion of the mind. I am the upright mind, the offspring of the upright mind. My mother conceived me in the mind and gave birth to me in the blackness of the mind. I am with the mourners and with the women who tear out their ear and make lament for the power of resurrection in Africa, proving true the words of the power of resurrection, the power of triunity before his enemies. The mind commanded the personification of itself, the divine intelligence of wisdom, knowledge, and understanding to prove truth, the words of the power of mental resurrection before his enemies. What was commanded for the power of resurrection, the power of the triunity? Let that be done for me by the power of divine intelligence, wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. I am with righteousness, truth, and justice on a daily basis. When it travels its course on the day of dressing and rising of the power of the triunity, the power of resurrection opens the hidden waters, springs from the abolition of the righteous, whose heart of conscience is at rest. Now that was where we reached up to the last reasoning, the last session, I believe session number 4. So we are now going to continue on with this chant. I behold the door of the most holy shrine in Rasta, that part of mine which taketh the spiritual human being from the land of the mentally dead to the land of the mentally living. I am with righteousness, truth, and justice on a daily basis, as the protector and defender of the left shoulders of the power of resurrection, the dweller in the house of Rastafari. I enter in among and I come forth from the flame, genius on the day of the destruction of the devil's conception in the great battles of the mind waged between righteousness, truth, and justice on one hand, and evil, falsehood, and injustice on the other hand. I am with righteousness, truth, and justice on its daily course on the day of the festival of the power of resurrection, at the making of offerings and oblations, namely on the festival which is celebrated on the 6th day of the month, and on the day of the festivals when offerings are made to the great geniuses in the mind. I am the priest of the mind in the mind, the dweller in the house of the power of resurrection. I exalt him that is upon the light place of the country, the power of the triunity, the power of divine resurrection. I look upon the hidden things, those things of mysteries in Rastafari. I recite the words of the liturgy of the festivals of the spirituality of the power of resurrection. I am the priest of Rastafari and perform his duties. I am the high priest on the day when we celebrate the course of the earth around the sun. I have taken in my hand the digging tools on the day of digging up the earth in Africa. Hail, O ye who make perfect souls to enter into the house of the power of resurrection. Make ye the well-instructed soul of the power of resurrection. I, the offspring of Rastafari, Emperor Haile Selassie, whose word is truth, to enter in and to be with you in the house of the power of triunity, the power of resurrection. Let I hear even as ye hear. Let I have sight even as ye have sight. Let I stand up even as ye stand up. Let I take I seat even as ye take your seat. Hail, O ye who give mental food to the perfect soul in the house of the power of triunity, the power of resurrection. Give ye mental food twice each day, in the morning and in the evening, to the soul of I whose word is truth, before the righteous, lords of the temple of the mind, and whose word is truth with you. Hail, O ye who open up the way, who act as guides to the roads in the world of the mind of struggle, to the righteous in the house of the power of triunity, the power of resurrection. Open ye up for I the way, and act as ye as guides to the roads, to the soul of the power of the triunity, the power of resurrection. I who strive to be in line with the prophets and the righteous, whose word is truth with you. May I enter the house of the power of the triunity, the power of resurrection and boldness, and may I come forth therefrom in peace. May there be no opposition made to me, and may I not be sent back therefrom. May I enter in under favor of Rastafari, the power of the triunity, the power of resurrection, and may I come forth gratified at the acceptance of I true words. May I commands be performed in the house of Rastafari, Haile Selassie I, the power of the triunity, the power of resurrection. May I words travel with you, and may I be glorious as ye are. May I be not found to be light in the balance. May the balance dispose of my case. Permit thou not I to be judged according to the mouths of the multitude. May my soul lift itself up before the power of the triunity, the power of resurrection, Rastafari, having been found to have been pure when on earth. May I come into thy presence, O Lord of the righteous. May I arrive at the nome of righteousness, truth, and justice. May I rise up on my seat like a righteous endowed with life. May I give birth light like the company of the prophets who dwell in Zion of the mind. May I become like one of you. May I lift up my footsteps in Africa. May I look upon the power of the mind of Rastafari, which commands the evenings of the righteousness. Rastafari, the Holy One, as he passes across the mind. May I not be repulsed. May I look upon the elders of the world of the mind, or according to the company of the prophets. May I smell the Savior of the divine mental food of the company of the prophets. May I sit down with them. May my name be proclaimed for offerings by the highest of high priests, he who is with the book, he who knows how to ascribe power to those in need. At the sacrificial table, may I hear the petitions which are made when offerings are presented. May I draw nigh unto the power of resurrection, the power of the triunity, and may neither my conscience of heart or of mind, nor its protectors, be repulsed. Homage to thee, O chief of the beautiful hidden lands of the mind, thou righteous power of the triunity, the power of resurrection, Rastafari, Emperor Haile Selassie, who dwelleth in Mount Zion of the mind and in the land of Africa. Grant thou that I may arrive in peace in the beautiful land of the mind. May the elders of the holy land of Mount Zion of the mind and of Africa receive me, and may they say unto me, Hail, hail, welcome, welcome. May they make ready for me a seat by the side of the chief elders of the chiefs. May the nursing femininity power of the nature and nurture receive me at the seasons, and may I come forth into the presence of the existing Rastafari truth of word. May I be a follower of the cause of wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, which on a daily basis is of righteousness, truth, and justice in Rastafari, the holy land of the mind and of Africa, and of the power of the triunity, the power of resurrection, in the beautiful land of the mind of Mount Zion. And may I perform all the transformation which my heart may desire to make in every place wherein my spiritual essence, my double, wishes to be. Then it have a rubric to it, right? A kind of little explanatory part to it. If the above chant is chanted faithfully when it's supposed to be said, then will he or she be able to come forth on any day he or she pleaseth from out of the land of the mental dead and enter into his or her habitation unrepulsed. Mental food from those which are on the altar of Rastafari. Emperor Haile Selassie, the power of the triunity, the power of resurrection shall be given unto him or her, and his or her homestead shall be among the fields of the field of the Holy Land. Holy Mount Zion, and wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, righteousness, truth, and justice shall be given unto him or her therein, and he or she shall flourish there in the mind, even as he or she flourishes upon the earth. Now, when you pay attention and pay close attention to the words that have been uttered in this chant, it does not take long for one to come to the realization that we are giving power and glory to the mind. We are giving power and glory to that which cometh out of the brain, which is the mind, the ability to think and conceive all things. Anything that the mind can think and conceive can be brought into physical creation. And that is the power of the mind. And one of the reasons why we as a people went through and still basically going through years of tribulation for more than 2,500 years now is because that the doors of the doors of our mind have been bolted and chained. We are people who have been imbued with foreign concept, been imbued with foreign world. From the very first time we encounter Babylonian, all of the conception that they have imparted to us has been nothing but false conceptions, miseducation, misinformed. There is nothing Babylonian has ever taught us. I don't care what it is that can lead to our liberation. Our liberation begins with first and foremost liberating our mind, resurrecting our mind. When you go through the chant, you hear it keep going back to the word resurrection, resurrection, right? And I must disabuse you of any thinking like you believe we are speaking of somebody dead and going under the ground and then them going resurrect. When you're dead, you're dead. For those who can die. And when you live and you live forever through what? Through ideas and conceptions. Through knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. Every single human being on the face of the earth can live forever. It all depends on how you classify life, how you see life, how you embrace life, what it takes life to be, what life is. And discard all the Babylonian conceptions of death. Because if you're believers of death, then death you shall surely embrace. Death you shall surely experience, because that is what you believe in. Life cannot die. Life is life. And death is that which separates itself from life. That means you was not a part of life from the very beginning in your own conceptual thought. So we go back to the ancient days. And you realize a Rasta is about a journey. Rastafari is a journey from mental death to mental life. And that it was from the beginning of time. That is the meaning of Rastafari from the beginning of time. It is the same thing today. What is Rastafari today? Rastafari is about liberation. It's about liberating the mind. It's about taking the mind on that journey from death to life. And so will it be in the future. So when I give chants and I give praises to the mind, because we know the power of the mind. We know that all things come out of the mind. All things that manifest itself is a conception of ideas and thoughts and beliefs and knowledge. And that is what Rastafari is about. What I think in our earth today, it is very easy to be distracted. Easy to be distracted. And you know why? What makes it so easy to be distracted? Because people learn how to appeal to the very belief system that was imposed upon us. So basically, people are able to distract you by telling you what they believe you are going to believe, or what they believe you will easily believe. Because the foundation is blocked for that concept which you will easily believe is already embedded in the brain. It's already embedded in the mind. So when we speak of resurrection, we're talking about coming up out of that mental death state, which is the only form of death within creation. Which is the only form of resurrection in creation. When a man who is dead mentally can be resurrected mentally from death into life. And when you find out the chains upon the earth has been broken. And when I'm speaking of no mysticism, we're speaking about the fact that Africans, black people, are coming into a knowledge of themselves, a knowledge of their history, a knowledge of their demographic, a knowledge of every discipline and principle. And once you come into certain knowledge, that knowledge gives you possession of that which it defines. So when we see the world running around discombobulated, them head cut off, some people trying to stop the world in its track. Like what Bob Marley said, none of them can stop the time, but they shall try. And they may even be able to slow it down for a period of time for some. But the days when Europeans had the world unlocked, those days are over. The chains has broken loose. we are now a people who have coming into the realization that every single thing that we have been taught by the Babylonians, even within their great world university, it was nothing but falsehood. Every single thing you learn in your school is no good to you. It's totally falsehood. It cannot liberate you. It will never liberate you. But a new dawn is coming to us now. We are seeing through the silhouette a semblance of truth, a semblance of who we are, we look upon we as people upon the face of the earth. As there are lands and as there are countries, there are different names for us. A Chinaman can go and born anywhere upon the face of the earth, anywhere. He will be recognized as a Chinese. A European can go and be born in any country upon the face of the earth, and he will embrace and be called by his Europeanness. So too the Indians. But what about us? I'm going to use the term to encast all of us. What about us, the Africans? Yes, and we can also dispute that way, but just for conversational purposes, in a collective sense, I'm going to say we are Africans. Why we, as a people, when we are born in a different land, we tend to cast off all things African, and call us by the name of that land, or call us by name that were given to us. And we will argue most ferociously against being identified as African. Why is it so hard for us to conceive of a black man that's wherever he may be born upon the face, that he's an African? It's easily accepted and pronounced by all other race. You know why? It's because our mind has been wiped clean. Our brain was wiped clean of all of its original conceptions. And we are encast in a mind not of our making, not of our choosing. But like me say, a new dawn is coming upon us. We are coming into a realization that even these concepts of out of many we are one is nothing but foolishness. That's another part of the deception. You have children, you have adults going to school, graduating with doctor's degree, master's degrees, bachelor's degrees, associate, and them can't find a job. And whoever is lucky enough to get a job, have to work for the system, reinforce the same devil Babylonian system that has been oppressing us for 2,500 years. We are given the opportunity to make our chains golden fetters. But that's all it still is, a chain bound into the system. So we're talking about resurrecting the mind, resurrecting the brain. Because let me tell you something, you know. For all creation, all through creation, all through the history of man, the fool has never led the wise. The fool has never led the wise. Think about that. And the journey from being a fool to becoming a wise is the journey of Rastafari. It's the journey from death to living. It's the journey from death to life. And that is what we must about. We must not allow the Rastafarian movement to go down into ritualism, to go down into repetitiveness. The Rastafarian movement must not become a movement that become all embracing to all people, to all concept, to all. No. We are bound to travel the path of liberation. That will require that certain particular thinking. That will require that certain particular vanguard. That will require that certain particular concept of life. Yeah. So the Rastafari Promise Key Seminary, which will be functioning on a university level in terms of the capacity of the reasoning. Is so once we go on this journey and we recognize the fact that we are on a journey that's going to take us from darkness to light. You notice I never say from blackness, I say from darkness to light. Because the journey is a journey of blackness. And blackness is that journey of truth, right, justice, liberation. That's the journey where we are traveling. So the struggle where we engage in now is to liberate the mind. And to liberate the mind is not to implant any concept within the mind, but to free the mind so the mind can sit and contemplate new ideas, new ways, new manifestation. It's one of the things where some people would like. It's for the Promise Key Seminary to become a indoctrination center. To come here and basically say, in order for someone to be Rastafari, you need to believe this and you need not to believe that. No, man, that's a kindergarten business, man. You can't do that on your own. You don't need the Promise Key Seminary to tell you what to believe and what not to believe. The only mandate that the Rastafari Promise Key Seminary has is to free up the mind. Free up the mind so the mind can see the true light. So the mind can better and more able and more clearly see the struggle that's taking place upon the face of the earth. This titanic shift that is taking place. We're going to shake up the whole world. We're going to shake up every foundational concept upon which the Babylonian world sit. It's already shaking it up. The Rastafari movement must move into the vanguard position of creating and fostering and maintaining the resurrection of the minds of the people. We don't need to tell anyone what to believe. I have no interest in telling anyone what to believe. My interest, as is the interest of the Rastafari Promise Key Seminary, is just to liberate the mind, just to unfetter the mind, just to untether the mind, so the mind can go off on its own true journey. And there you shall see where the whole true journey is about, the liberation of our people. What we must be on guard against, is that people come in with rhetoric that easily appeal to us because we have been oppressed for more than 2,500 years in Babylon. And make us say something, because this has been brought up in several conversations with me and some other brethren and sisters. When I think of Africa, and think of the trials and tribulation that visited Africa from the most ancient of ancient days, with the coming of the Greeks and the Persians and the Romans and the Arabs and all of them. And coming out of this, my ancestors were sold into bondage. I've been asked many times, would I have rather been born in Africa than to be born in bondage? Yeah. And you know what my answer has always been? I'd rather to have been one that was sold into slavery than to be one that descend from those who did the selling. who did the capturing, who did the purchasing. I rather that my blood was and is sold into bondage than to be one of the sellers, than to be one of the... No, I don't want that. I don't want that. And my ancestors were one of those who were placed on this journey. This journey of coming into the West, coming into the so-called West. And where the blood of my ancestors has been infused with the blood of Africans who traverse the Caribbean, who traverse this part of the world even before the advent of this modern slavery. And our blood got infused with the blood of the so-called other native peoples of this land. And then our blood got further mixed with those who came into the present dispensation of slavery. I have no regret about that, in making that choice. Again, and any time of the day, during any period of existence, I would choose to be amongst those who were sold than to be amongst those who sold us, who stole us, who captured us, who placed us in chains. I don't want my blood to be of that making. So as you can see, starting about 1509, speaking about this dispensation, my ancestors were captured and feathered and bound and placed on ships and sold into bondage. And for more than 400 years, we have been bombarded and bamboozled with ideas and beliefs and conception that further enchained and enslaved us to our dastardly condition. But here I sit, still amongst my people. Regardless of what country we are in, we are amongst our people down here in the West. Other people can only imagine what we have been through, what we are going through, and what we will continue to endure until we have completely broken the chain of bondage that was placed upon our brain. Yeah, man. And slowly but surely, we can see it now. It's coming into focus. The silhouette is getting more clear to us. We are coming into a knowledge of who we were and who we in essence are by our DNA. Yeah. And that is what is empowering us today. That is what is liberating us today. The caution that we have to take is make sure as we revisit our past, we do not get stuck at any point along the journey of the past and say, this is who we were. No, there's more to it to come. There is still unrevealed knowledge that is encoded within our DNA that takes us back into the furthest crevices of our history and our knowledge of who we are. And once we have become a people who can cipher that out, who can reclaim our past in all its various manifestations, and adapt aspects that we choose to adapt, and discard aspects that we choose to discard, even though it's still yet stored as past knowledge, so we can always have access to it. And then you go see the real and true black man walk the face of the earth, you know. You ever sit back and watch closely when a black man or a black woman moving at them true dignity, walking at them true dignity, speaking at them true dignity? There is not a single member of any other race upon the face of this earth that can carry such a dignity within their very essence of being. Whether walking, talking, sitting, posing in any manifestation. When we move within our true DNA realms, we are the height and pinnacle of human dignity. Yeah, man. And the journey, this Rastafari Promiscuous Seminary, is to imbue us with this sense of freedom, this sense of dignity, this sense of knowledge, this sense of understanding, this sense of self-identified justice, where we can truly live out who we truly are as a people upon the face of this earth. And like I said in one of, I think in lesson, session 4 or session 3, African Americans, the black people in America, they are the one closest to the Babylonian system, who has to interact with it every day, who has to deal with it without any intermediaries. They have the clearest vision of the struggle of our race and of our people collectively, worldwide, going forward. Their vision of what is to be done and what should be done is more clear because they live and exist in the heart of Babylon. Same thing with black people in Europe. Yes, Africa is Babylon today because it is part of the Babylon economic and political world. The Caribbean is still Babylon, part of the economic and political world of the Babylonian. But for those of us who are in Africa and in the Caribbean, there are intermediaries between us and the Babylonian system. Intermediaries that look like us, but who functions and act on behalf of the Babylonian system. Not so in America. There is no intermediary between the black people and the white Babylonians. It is a clash every day between the two different people, between the two different cultures. And when you go to the United States of America, white people in the United States of America do not hide their true feelings, do not hide their true content, their true intent. So black people in America have to deal with that truth every day, a truth that they are virulently exposed to without any intermediary between them and the system. So when other people throughout the Caribbean or people throughout Africa utter certain songs when they're talking about the liberation of our people, their vision and idea is going to be skewed by the fact that there are intermediaries that look like them between them and the system. So you go to countries like in Africa, or you go to countries in the Caribbean, and you hear them say, all right, these intermediaries, which is basically the local government, the government, both the national and the local government within their respective country, these are the intermediary functionaries for the larger worldwide Babylonian system. So when these people in these countries faces any type of oppression, they tend to blame the intermediaries. They tend to blame their president. They tend to blame their ministers and speak of how corrupt they are, not seeing that these ministers are intermediaries for the larger system and therefore they need to attack the larger system and not just the local system. Not so in America. The faces that you see in power is generally the face of the straight Babylonians speaking their true feelings, speaking their true intent of their hatred and despise of all things black, of all things Africans. So our cue in moving forward as a people, in going towards our true and full liberation, we must pay a very close attention to the ideas and conceptions coming out of the United States from the people there of African descent. Yeah. And that's what that is. So in our resurrection, in resurrecting the mind, in creating a new world, in identifying the true and real conceptions of the Babylonians that imprison us, we who are in the West, our vision and deciphering of the Babylonian system is more clear than anywhere else upon the face of the earth. It does not mean that people in Africa cannot see on an individual basis that the hidden hand that betrays them every day, that the hidden hand that robs them every day, that the hidden hand that exploits them every day comes out of Europe and Europeans. Them can't see it. But they're going to see it from a skewed position, because their vision, in order for it to get to the true Babylonia, has to first pass through their local political system. And a lot of times that's where we get stuck. That's where we get stuck in our vision and in our ideas and in our conceptions. Yeah. So, brethren and sisters, this will be it for lesson. I think this is session number 5 of the Rastafari Promise Key Seminary. Don't forget to support my book, Forged by Time. It is my only source of income. Thanks for the support I was given in the past. Looking forward to further support in the future. And like I stated before, every time I do a session for the Rastafari Promise Key Seminary, in between I may touch upon some other subjects. I may touch upon some other topics. As they come to me, as some people may ask me to address certain issues, I will do them intermediary between the Rastafari Promise Key sessions and lectures and reasoning. So this will be it for now. Like we always say, one God, one aim, one destiny, peace, love, and unity. Let us continue trying to do the correct match at all time. Mathematical equation is where we run the world. Is it that run all concepts, all ideas. And it is that root of which we shall build our future world, the world of Rastafari. Yeah. Thank you very much.